Hello guys! Welcome back to another cold episode. And today's episode, as you can tell, it's a bit different. Today we're doing a podcast. We're a video podcast.
Video podcast.
Yeah.
Thing.
And this is going to be episode 1. And we're going to be talking about, probably you can already tell by the title of this video, but we are going to be talking about anime. And more specifically, on our first episode, we're going to be talking about openings to anime.
Because they're so good.
Because they're so good, and we've all learned to love them and thoroughly enjoy them. But we're going to introduce everyone on the couch here. So we're going to start over here. Introduce yourself.
I'm Quinn. I'm this guy's friend.
Yup.
I'm Tanner. Oh, wait.
No,
They know you, right?
Go.
I'm Tanner. I'm also this guy's friend.
And I am Kyle, also known as Snowix. This is going up on my YouTube channel, but yeah, these two are here along for the ride.
Yep.
And we will have other special guests that will be joining us for other episodes. But these are the core for right now. Anyway, we're going to talk about openings today. And I think the first one, we have 4 genres of openings that we thought of. 4 genres of openings and what they're designed to do. So the first one is pretty obvious, but it's the hype one. Hype. It's all the like shonen ones. Anything like Dragon Ball, Fairy Tail, Naruto, Boku no Hero Aka. Pick your shonen. They're there to get you hype, right? To get you excited.
What's your favorite hype one?
Oh, right now it's got to be Overlord.
Okay. Overlord's good.
Overlord's really good. I just really love the song for Overlord. The opening in and of itself ain't great, which with most of the hype ones, the opening is pretty good, but it focuses a lot on like animation.
We're busy like writing and editing, and he's like in the corner humming the Overlord and like banging his head. So
Wait, that's the wrong one.
No, that's the wrong one.
What?
That was his Attack on Titan.
I was doing Attack on Titan. What was it? I don't remember.
I forget it.
I can't remember now. Now I got Konosuba in my head. How the heck did this happen?
Tanner, what's your favorite hype one?
This is a mistake.
Like any of 3 or 4 different My Hero Academia openings, because they're so good.
The
Third one's the
Maya
best.
Deals.
That's a really good one. But I think, what's it called? The one that comes right before that one. I might like better. I don't know. They're all really
No, that's season 2's opening 1.
No.
Yeah.
The one right before that is opening 2, which I can't
Stain.
remember for the life of me. It is that arc, but I don't
That
remember
arc.
it.
Hiro Kuroshi Stain. Oh, wait. Stain. That's all.
Anyway.
He watches it Japanese, and I watch it dubbed.
Anyway.
It's a large contention.
This is why I sit in the middle.
Yep.
That's the only
so that we
reason.
don't,
So
We
that
get
they don't
off
fight
topic.
each other over Boku no Hero Aka. Anyway.
My Hero Aka.
I like saying Boku no Hero Aka.
Even though I watched it subbed, I say it the same way as Quinn.
Dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Why am I in the middle?
I don't know Hero Aka or My Hero Aka if you're
If you're white.
white.
I'm just kidding.
Boku no
Wait,
Hero
sorry.
Aka if you're a nerd.
You're a nerd! Anyway, we got really off topic. I blame
Openings.
you. I'm gonna blame you. You're my scapegoat.
Sorry.
Thanks. But yeah, Overlord's currently my like hype one that I really enjoy.
I think my favorite one might be One Punch Man.
Okay.
That's actually really
That's a really good one too. It's
When it
also
comes
on my
to hype,
playlist.
Yeah.
I have a playlist just full of a ton of different songs, and there's like 6 different anime openings on it. And like 4 of them are the hype ones, and One Punch is on there. I got Death Note on there.
Yep.
Death Note's also pretty hype.
The
But less
The
like
universe-
actually hype, more like suspenseful hype.
Suit yourself. It gets me hype.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, it's not like there's not fight sequences. in the
Yeah,
opening.
fair enough. I mean, it's not a shonen.
Yeah.
There's not really fights, but
Yeah.
it does get you hyped to watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Well, it's kind of the point of all
This is true.
openings.
This is true. But there are some where it's like it gets you excited to watch the show, right? Or like it's just fun to watch. Or it makes you cry. But there are specifically most shows do get you hype, right? Most openings are exciting. They've got good songs, what have you, right? But there are some in particular, specifically with like the shonen ones, where they show you a lot of really good animation. They've got the really good fight scenes, right? I think of a lot of like the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood openings have fairly good fight sequences that are very cool. And so like that gets you excited, and that's kind of what the hype ones are.
The new Dragon Ball Super one, or like the newest one, it's kind of old now, I guess.
Yeah, with Jiren.
Jiren and Goku fighting.
I'm going to say, a big part of the hype aspect, though, is like the type of song used with it, though, too.
Which most of them are like rock.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Fast.
Up-tempo, like...
Up-tempo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Death Note.
Oh, Death Note. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Death Note's really good.
Yeah. And then
that one isn't like... There's no fighting in Death Note.
But it still gets you hype, and you're like, yes,
but it's
let's
super
slay
fast
some
song.
people by writing stuff down in a notebook.
Let's kill some people with a pencil
in very
and
specific
paper.
ways. Some of them are so, like...
creative.
So oddly specific.
I like the one where she's like walking up the stairs to heaven.
And
you're like, what?
What is that happening?
She's like, excuse me, I have to go die now. Turns around and walks away. You're like, alright.
Spoilers!
Bye!
Not really, but also. Oh,
Lots of people die in that one.
That's a good one.
But not in violent ways, usually.
Sometimes. Usually not.
A lot of them are not.
Most of them aren't.
Most deaths are just heart attacks.
Yeah.
But that being said, some of them are.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Some of them are rough.
Anyway, back to openings.
Yeah.
So there are quite a few like hype openings that are really good. A lot of these are like they just have a really fun song. Like for One Punch Man specifically, I know like the animation's good and the actual sequences and fight sequences within the opening are fun. But the main reason I like it is because the song is just builds the hype, and you're like, yes, we're gonna watch some sick fight sequences, and then you watch the show, and you're like, this isn't what I was expecting, but I'm still hype because the opening is just like
the opening is so good. Oh, they're like literally screaming in it.
They're literally
it's so good.
Punch!
The drawing of the fist.
Yes.
Very
yes.
Hero. Yeah,
anyway,
it's fun stuff.
We're not gonna actually play any of the clips of the show or the openings.
Just awkwardly sing them in front.
We're just gonna awkwardly sing them
headbang
because we don't want to get copy striked. Because that's YouTube, everybody. But yeah,
what's our next genre?
Oh, hold on. You just like don't want to talk about the hype, man.
I think I've talked about.
We gotta talk about the hype.
What else do you have to say?
We haven't even talked about what makes it like what makes them so exciting.
We should have talked about it before we started the genres. Like what makes a good opening.
No. We were talking about what makes hype so good.
We kind of did talk about that though.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't feel like we have.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, for me, like, okay, we just started with the song.
Mm-hmm.
The song makes it hype, but also, like, you have to have really good animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
That's one thing. Like, most of the openings, I see better animation than some of the actual like fight scenes in the show.
That's true.
Like the opening is incredibly important because it sets up like how the show is going to go. I think, especially on like Attack on Titan, has some of the sickest animation.
It does
for their opening fight scenes. You're just like, this is so pretty, and then like, I mean, their fight scenes aren't necessarily bad within the show, but
they're good.
But like, it's the same with Dragon Ball too. I think Dragon Ball less so. Dragon Ball is not nearly as much. Most of their fight scenes are better in the actual show. But like, I think Fullmetal Alchemist has better animations for their fight scenes in the openings. Especially if you think Fullmetal Alchemist, the original, The fourth opening, number 4, that one. I'm gonna put a link in the description for that one because there's a fight scene like 1 minute in that is just perfect animation. Like
it's really good.
It's
really good.
Phenomenal, and the song syncs up with it really well as well. And not all of the hype ones. We talked about Death Note for a second, but not all the hype ones
have fights.
But it's like the camera movements as well. Like in Death Note specifically, the one camera movement I'm thinking of is when L and Light are standing on the rooftop, basically, facing each other, and the camera's just like swerving around them. And it's so cool. You're just like,
I don't know what I'm about to watch, but I know it's gonna be awesome.
And that's what makes it hype, is that sometimes you don't know what you're getting into, right? Like, you're watching a new show, and you're just like, this is hype. I'm excited to watch these fight scenes, right? Or you're just like, this is hype because this song is dope. Like how it is for me in Overlord. Like, there's no fight scenes really in Overlord opening, but you're just like,
yeah.
I can't remember it now because I got friggin' Death Note and One Punch Man in my head now. Hero. But also, I think specifically in hype, one thing that it does, one thing that it doesn't do, I should say, that others do, is that it doesn't give you a lot of character development, right? You get a lot of...
bit.
It does a little, but not compared to, think about some of the other openings, right?
Yeah.
Like Kimi no Se, right?
Sakta,
you see Sakta
of character development
like
foreshadowing
the opening,
in Kimi no Se.
Yeah.
A ton.
But also, think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a ton of that in
in
all of the openings, right? But not a lot of the more hype ones give you a fair amount of character development.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that the show doesn't give you character development, but that's not the purpose of the opening. I think Attack on Titan doesn't really show you a lot about the characters too much. I think the first one does a little bit more, but the second one less so.
Mm-hmm. And its character development is usually a hype moment that's going to come in the season.
Yeah,
but it's good character development at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The one I think of is the third opening of My Hero.
Yeah.
That there's the scene in the opening of All Might powering up. And so when you first watch that, as I was first watching that, and the season's gonna come out, we're watching the first episode, the opening is playing, I'm like, I am so excited for this season because of that one moment that's gonna happen in the future in this season. Yeah. And All Might's character is gonna develop so much, and it does.
And and that's the thing. But one thing hype normally doesn't do is a lot of character development, right?
Mm-hmm.
One Punch Man's opening, you don't get a lot of it.
There's
one face.
You just see him punching people.
There's one face that he makes that encapsulates his character, but it's one face.
Yeah.
And it's real quick. It's a second long, basically, of that face. But you don't get a whole bunch. And that's what I think some of the other openings and some of the other styles as well do well, right? There's obviously merit to getting you excited and getting that rock song, and you're just like, yeah, I'm going to pound my head, and we're going to get excited, and anime, yeah! But obviously there's other ones, right? I mean, think of some of the most fun ones, right? That's our second genre that we wanted to talk about.
Oh, the fun ones of rom-com stuff.
Yeah, rom-com stuff.
Just comedy stuff.
Yeah, anything to do with comedy,
slice of life,
to do with slice of life,
Konosuba.
Konosuba. Both of their openings are pretty dang good, or both of the openings for Konosuba are pretty good. I also think,
and they're fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they don't give any character development. They just give you them
They show you the
having a
characters.
good time. And them going on a mission and totally failing and being comical, which is what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, this is going to be this entire show.
I think
just by watching it.
I think it does give you a fair amount of character. Maybe not development.
Yeah.
But it tells you about them.
Yeah, it shows you the character.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you know who Darkness is, especially
when she's
in the second opening.
Hit the rock that blows up.
Don't forget. Explosion!
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, it shows you a little bit of Megumin.
Shows you how happy she is to set off a huge explosion.
And Aqua's consistently crying, perfectly aligned with her character.
Yeah.
And so, I mean...
shows you who they are.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's
fun.
Yeah. The fun openings... Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch that we could talk about, right? Mostly Konosuba. Those ones are really good. Really fun. But also, like... Gamers, how he is always losing a game. Gamers has a really good, really fun opening as well. I think
it does it like 5 different times where he loses something.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
at least.
Yeah,
there's more
like
than that.
The Guitar Hero type one where he's always miss. It just says miss like 50 times. It's great.
That was really good.
I like the one where he gets headshot.
Just like yeah,
he's gone. Headshot. They're playing like Smash Bros and he gets hit.
He's like at way high percentage.
Launched off the screen.
Yeah,
destroyed. Oh, that was funny. And then, like, what else? I don't know, it's like one of those Street Fighter boxing games, and it's like, continue?
10.
Counting down.
9.
Yes, it's like an arcade game.
Yeah.
It says continue and it's counting down. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's also, like, super fun. And it kind of shows you the characters. It shows you more so like one character.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like its first episode makes you think that it's going to be all about like these hardcore gamers and their journey through gaming, and then it ends up not being that, and then it shows you the opening after
and you're
the
like,
first episode,
yep,
and you're like, oh,
sense.
it's just them failing at video games and being hilarious.
It's and
because he's super bad at them.
Yeah, it's a really fun opening. It's one that you watch and you're just like, I'm not excited and I don't necessarily want to go like punch a dude in the face.
No.
Yeah.
Or go, join the army, what have you, right? But
the opening 2 for
Attack on Titan kind of makes me want to join the force.
No, that's
a little
it sounds like a national anthem type thing.
That's kind of what I was going for.
Does.
But it does, like, you're still excited to watch the show. You're like, hey, this is
definitely
so fun.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, I love this.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. And, I mean, like, Konosuba, you literally see an entire quest that they go on in the second opening, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
And you get a little dance from
them.
You're
like, I wish we had episodes of them doing this quest because it's hysterical.
It's so funny.
You're like, I want to be in an isekai anime.
Yeah.
I want to travel to another world and I want to just do dumb stuff.
I want to be in Konosuba.
I just want to be there.
Although, let's be honest, if we were in Kazuma's spot, we'd all be like,
yeah.
Darkness, Aqua, Megumin, what the crap?
It's pretty fun.
But it's one of those fun ones that you just watch and, this is fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go.
I remember specifically watching Gamers one day, and it was when it was coming out week by week, so it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And I would sit down on the couch, and I turned it on, and the opening's going, and I'm sitting there literally like this, and I'm like...
bouncing on the couch.
I'm so excited. It's 6 a.m. on a Saturday.
For me, I did that when I was watching... Except I wasn't on a couch. I was in a chair. Mm-hmm. But I basically did that when Bunny Girl Senpai came out each week.
Yeah.
And like I just sat there and like, Kimi no Se, I'm so excited, man. Woo-hoo.
Pretty much.
I think something we should talk about is how the opening sets you up for like the type of show it's going to be too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, as we were talking about with, like, Konosuba and Gamers, like, the show's not going to be super serious. There's not, like, a lot of drama, per se. It's silly adventures. And that's what the fun opening prepares you for. It's like...
But then you also have a fun opening, like Kimi no Se, which I would consider a very fun opening. The song helps with that. But, like, it's very just like, this is a fun song.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it shows you a lot of stuff about the characters that, like,
Pushing
prepares
the
you
screen.
for,
Yeah,
like,
and
stuff that's going to happen.
It's a very different kind of opening, but I would still classify it under the same genre of, like, it's a fun opening. It's designed to, like, it's one you kind of laugh at. Like, Sakta's holding his backpack on his butt, basically. It's like,
it's not on his shoulders, it's on his elbows.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You see
and he's
him
just got his hands in his pockets, and he's like...
Like, you see him throw his phone in the ocean, which is pretty fun.
Yes.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
And, like, there's a lot of fun moments in there. I mean, him racing the train is pretty
like,
fun.
oh, that sucks, bro.
I mean, he's not actually racing it, but...
He was kind of, yeah.
I feel like he's racing the train, and when the train, like, gets to him, he ditches
He's
the
like,
bag.
no! Gotta make
He
it!
ditches his backpack and, like, goes for it. It's great. He grits his teeth and his eyes squint hard.
Granted, that one, watching it
Great
for the first
animation.
time, is very fun. Watching it for the second time, and
After you
watching
watch the rest of the
episodes...
series.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, just like any of the episodes. You're just like
It
this
starts getting
becomes
more
That's
meaningful.
Yeah.
it becomes more and more and more meaningful, which is the third topic that we want to talk about, which we will do.
Spiritual health.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we talk about the more
Meaningful stuff.
meaningful stuff, we're gonna backtrack just a tiny bit and talk about what makes a fun opening successful. Right?
Yeah.
So we talked about what makes a hype one successful. Now we want to talk about what makes fun ones successful, right? So things like Konosuba. Why is Konosuba specifically so good? Why is Gamers so good, right? What makes those ones so fun to watch? And I think... I'm sorry, did you have something?
I think it's just like seeing the characters and what they're doing, and like the more you go through the show, the more you start caring about the characters.
Mhm.
And so when you see a character like even just like sitting there with their head on their desk, or just walking
Walking
in
with-
walking with
Down
a friend,
the train station, yeah.
or running, like racing a train.
Mhm.
It starts becoming more meaningful and more like fun for you to watch them, even though you've watched them do it over and over and over again.
Mhm. Yeah, basically. I mean...
And then this kind of this absolutely goes across the board with, like, all good anime openings, but the music, of course, still helps. And, like, the type of music, I guess, specifically helps tell the type of story it's going to be.
With a lot of these, they're less about, like, hard, like, anyway. I thought of another really fun opening, and it's Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
That one has a really fun opening, and it's basically
Mostly
solely because of the music.
It is.
Like, the music is super fun.
The animation isn't bad, but
Yeah,
it's not, like,
the animation
super
isn't bad.
driving. It doesn't tell you that much.
You got like the plane flying and like a guy running and him smoking, and it's good animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But for the most part, the music is
the
just
music is
so
what
good.
The girl dancing,
why
yeah.
you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, the music is very different, right? So in Cowboy Bebop, it's all jazzy and stuff like that, and and in most other, like in Gamers, it's all about the games, right? So it's got like this 8-bit kind of sound to it. It's not like 8-bit actually, but it's like but it's like
it's got
you can hear the 8-bit like
you can
synth
hear like
kind of sound to
video
it,
The
game.
influence of old type of video games.
which is really cool, and it's very different. And I think the more fun openings, they have the music more so to suit the actual opening and the visuals, whereas you have like the more hype ones, right? Something like Attack on Titan, where they can make the song and then fit the animation to it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
I mean, it does happen, but it's in when you're making a fun anime, writing the visuals drawing the visuals and having those, I feel like would be much better, and then like creating a song around that, making a song like, especially. I keep thinking of Gamers, how specific that one is to the show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And to like the visuals as well. Like it helps with the visuals, and it helps tell that story through the music. and I mean Konosuba as well. But Konosuba is just like, you could just listen to the song, and it'd just be like a fun, upbeat song. Whereas like the visuals tell basically a completely different story. Maybe not completely different. Probably not. I don't know. I haven't looked at the lyrics, but it's a very, like, you can kind of take them separately and they're still fun. But putting them together, it just makes it feel better. Right. Yeah. And so, is there anything else?
I think a good thing to note is like character interaction, especially like with Konosuba, or I mean even to a lesser extent, well, with Bunny Girl Senpai. That opening,
almost a lack of interaction in that one is also pretty cool.
Because it shows all the individuals, and then you're like, okay, how are these characters gonna meet up and do stuff together? Because they gotta, and they do.
That's one thing with Bunny Girl Senpai. The opening there is that no one is seen in the same scene together. While they may be at the same place, they're never in the same scene. You never see both of them, like two characters at the same time, which is very interesting. But it also,
I think a couple times they have like a split screen, but they're not.
Yeah, they're not like actually together in the same scene in the same.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what was I gonna say?
I think of Konosuba when they're doing the little dance together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, I love these characters, and it's so much fun to watch them do stupid stuff, and it's so much fun to listen to this.
That's what I was gonna say. When
they're all like
Konosuba in the second opening, when Kazuma throws his sword by accident and it hits his head, and then you can almost hear Aqua's laugh, and you're just like, "Shut up, Aqua!" But it's and that's what makes it so fun, is that you can almost hear the characters without actually hearing them.
You can feel the happiness coming off of them.
You can feel how fun it is. You can feel their stupidity.
It's great.
And it's great. Yeah, it's super fun. Anyway, now we can talk more about the more meaningful stuff. And I think we'll start with Bunny Girl Senpai, because it starts out as a really fun opening, and then you start to watch the show and you're like, this is less and less fun, but more and more meaningful and impactful, and I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, because there's the one where he throws his phone into the ocean,
and at first you're like,
and it's like,
that's funny.
But you find out in the first episode that he doesn't have a cell phone,
but you don't know why yet,
and it doesn't tell you why. Yeah,
until like episode 4. Is it 4 or 5?
4 or 5.
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
That you find out, and you're just like, and now this opening has way more meaning.
Even just that, it's like half a second that you see that clip.
That clip is really short. But he's throwing his phone into the ocean, and it's very emotional. And it's like at sunset or something. It's crazy. Yeah.
First of all, that is really pretty.
Yeah,
it's a really pretty sequence.
Is so...
Yeah, the whole opening is very well animated.
Yeah, it is.
But that one sequence, I'm just like,
the clouds.
Yeah. The clouds.
The animation of the clouds at the beginning.
And the ocean. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah. But that one has a lot of meaning behind it.
Yeah.
It's got, like, you see a lot of Shoko, which she isn't in the show a lot, but she has a very significant meaning in the show, and she's in the opening a lot.
Oh yeah, she is.
And
you're blowing my mind right here on screen. During the podcast. Should have talked about this beforehand.
No, live reactions. That's what
live reactions.
But yeah, Shoko's also very faded.
Yeah,
in
Shoko's
all of it, like a memory. Anyway, it's really cool, and there's a lot of cool foreshadowing as well. Like the person under the red umbrella. That's foreshadowing.
Yes.
And you got, my. Let's be honest, my shooting you in the face is the best part.
Shooting you in the face.
Not dancing in the Bunny Girl costume?
I think I like dancing in the Bunny Girl costume a little bit more than her shooting me in the face.
Okay. Fair enough. But, like, it's... and also, the transitions between Mai and Shoko are very, like, subtle. And at first, when I first watched it, I thought they were the same person. For a long time, I thought it was Mai and Shoko as just Mai. I thought it was just Mai, because I didn't know who Shoko was. Not that I didn't know who it was, but I just, like, didn't think she would be in the opening. But then after learning that Shoko was in the opening and where she was, I was just like, this makes so much more sense.
She's in there a couple times.
Yeah. And then you also see a fair amount of all the girls who have, like, their own character
arc in the season,
within the season.
I love Futaba. She's awesome.
Like it's all about Koga.
Koga.
Koga's arc is the best arc. Fight me. Nope, it's still Koga. It's still Koga.
It's too soon. I like to put it out of my mind. Okay.
It's too soon. I had to take it off my playlist.
I like that little part in the opening where it's the girl with the blonde hair, my sister.
Yeah, Mai's.
And she's like,
I like that too.
But it's totally Mai in that moment.
Yeah, and it is.
And you're just like, ah!
Spoilers. Spoilers.
I didn't say anything.
What? Huh?
Just cut that out.
Cut what out?
It's very good.
Anyway. Everybody take a sip. That one has a lot of meaning and foreshadowing and stuff like that behind it. Symbolism.
What?
So, I know it's your favorite, but we can't just talk about
no.
Senpai.
I wasn't planning on it.
Okay. It's been a few minutes.
I was going to say, the next one that has a fair amount of symbolism is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's first opening.
Okay, yeah.
Because within the first, 2 seconds.
But see, I don't know, it's weird, because, if you're watching it the first time, you
don't get it.
Yeah. You're just like,
you don't.
It's cool animation,
It's stuff that's in the end of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Very end.
And that's what makes it so good. Is that going back and watching that opening, you're like, wait a second, it's Hohenheim!
But part of it is, setting up the familiarity of, the stuff, and, the alchemy stuff, and then later you see it and you're like, this... and even if you don't remember that first opening, you're like,
I've seen this before.
Yeah, you're like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that one is full of foreshadowing. Watching that, as the first episode's opening, you're just like, I'm super confused. Who are all these characters and stuff like that? And then going back and watching it, you're just like, I'm gonna cry!
But the song is so fun, and then the song is very hype as well.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's a good blend of the hype genre and the feels and deep symbolic stuff as well. It's got both those very strongly.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yep. And it has good animation in it, which makes me excited to watch the show because I'm here to see good animation, and the show is full of it.
And the 2 or 3 fight scenes that happen in the opening too.
You okay there?
It's very good. I like it a lot.
I'm just closing my eyes and seeing it.
It is a very good opening. I do have to agree with you on that. It's super fun. One thing that I love about it is that the song, while getting you hype and kind of being an upbeat, fast-paced song, listening to it again and again over the course of the opening, as well as going back and listening to it again after watching the show, you're just like, this is more and more sad now. Yeah. Just because it's associated with so many sad parts in the actual show. And there's so much foreshadowing as well.
Yep, there's got the part where Ed's arm and leg are disappearing. It's got the part where Al is disappearing. And when you watch it it's when you watch it the very first time, you don't get it, and then after episode 2, you're like, oh no.
But then you don't get why, because Winry at that same moment also stumbles.
Yeah, she takes a blow.
Yeah. And you don't really understand that until fairly far into the show. This moment had an impact on her as well. And it's not necessarily a big spoiler, but it's just a cool character development moment. Where you're just like, oh, this was huge for Winry as well.
Yeah,
it's very symbolic.
Yeah, it's.
I think it's like one of the opening visuals, but like I love the scene of them walking away from the house and then it just burning in the background.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's so good.
That one's really cool. I was gonna say I really enjoy the like moment where it's at the very beginning, but it transitions from, you know,
Hohenheim.
Yeah, I was spoilers.
The
Hohenheim sitting there,
the character
with his hands out, and
Edward, right?
Yeah.
Before he lost his arm. Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, with his hands out, and then it transitions into their mother, the brother's mother,
the brother's
smiling, mother. And you're like, wait, what is happening? I'm so confused.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, going back and watching it and knowing everything that you know, you're just like, oh, that's so sad. Because then you realize it's Hohenheim.
And it's got the camera panning around both Hughes and Mustang.
Yeah.
And there's
Don't
fire.
spoil.
And there's fire, and, you know, there's really good moments in that. That's very
There's also just, like,
scenes that happen
really
in the show.
Clean animation.
Yes.
In that one.
It's very, very good.
Yes, props to the animators of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. They did a good job.
Props to the animators of Fullmetal Alchemist Opening 4 as well. That one was pretty good.
Yes.
Anyway, that one, ton of meaning behind it. You could spend hours just looking for the symbolism.
Also, Goblin Slayer has tons of symbolism.
Oh,
what a transition, Quinn.
Yes.
Yes. With Goblin Slayer, it's less foreshadowing and more symbolism.
Yes.
So, in Japanese, the number 4 and the word for death or die, I think, like to die, kind of, are the same word. Mm-hmm. So the number 4 has a very negative connotation. Yeah. It has this...
What is it?
4 is she.
She. Yeah.
And then, like, die is like shine. Yeah. So 4 is associated a lot with...
Shinigami.
God of Death.
Yes.
God of... Yes. Got it. I figured it out.
Well, like...
So I'll give applause for Quinn. Way to
go. Yes.
Yeah.
And so they keep rolling the dice and it keeps being 4.
Yeah.
And then goblins die.
Anytime... There's a lot of 4s in the show, specifically on dice. And dice is also hugely important because a lot of times they'll say, like, Goblin Slayer doesn't let, you know, the gods decide his fate. They don't let the gods roll for him, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he rolls his own dice or something along those lines. Which is really cool.
It reminds me of D&D.
The other cool moment, dice-wise, in the show is when it first shows, like, well, I was going to say, like, a face view, but it's his helmet. He's got one, and then it shows the priestess, and she's got 2. Mm-hmm. So, like, they're your main characters.
They're your 1 and 2.
You figure that out pretty
Character
early
1,
on.
Character 2. Yeah.
And, like, that one's pretty, like, easy to spot, pretty spot on. You're just, okay, this makes sense. It's also 1, 2.
I like the 1 dot is red. Because it reminds me of his eye.
Because his eye is red! Also,
his eye is red.
Whenever his eye turns red, it's glorious and...
And you're like, yep, goblins are gonna die. They're gonna die.
And he turns very scary.
Like, more so than usual. Yeah.
Which reminds me, the first time we see Goblin Slayer in action in that opening, he's running from goblins, but his eye is red. And you're like, what is gonna happen?
You're like, all of these goblins
goblins are gonna die.
And he's
running. And then the next, like, moment, it shows the die get rolled, and it lands on 4, and the shadow of a goblin dies. It's the shadow of a goblin dying.
Like, twice.
And it does it twice in a row.
Yeah.
And I just think to myself, oh, that's what he was doing. It was a trap. Mm-hmm. But it also shows each one of the characters. It doesn't tell you a lot about them. The only 2 characters that we really get much on would be the priestess and mainly Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
You get, like, a fair amount of foreshadowing and kind of, like, not foreshadowing, but, like, characterization within the opening for Goblin Slayer. Granted, he's the main character.
Yeah,
he's
the title character.
The title of the show, yeah. So it makes sense.
I love the symbolism of the green moon right at the very beginning. How the green moon is huge and the red moon is small.
And the first couple times you watch it, you're like, that's weird.
You're like, why do they have two moons? What is this, Tatooine?
2 suns.
I know, I said it.
Guys, it's
2 suns, 2
close
moons.
enough.
Celestial, there's 2 of them.
And then,
celestial.
one thing that's cool is that in the show, they're fairly close in size.
Mm-hmm.
The green and the red moon are fairly close in size. But to Goblin Slayer, he only cares about the green one.
Yeah.
Because that's where the myth of, like, the goblins come from. That's not really spoilers, because it's just like...
It's
like,
mythos about the show.
It's
Yeah.
mythos. It's like the lore.
Not story.
Yeah.
Directly story related, at least.
I mean, we learned it in, like, episode 4, 3 or 4
3 or 4,
or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 3.
I think
Anyway.
it's 3.
So it's not too far into the show. But there's a ton that you can unpack on that one. I mean...
Yeah.
Another moment where I might have to edit this out, but Mother's Basement, again, did a really good, deep analysis of Goblin Slayer's opening.
I need to watch all these videos. Mother's Basement is an amazing show.
No, it wasn't Mother's Basement. I lied. Forget that. Forget I said that.
What?
He didn't do that.
Do what?
Do that?
It was in the comments
Edit this
for
out.
the opening. Edit this out. Let's go back. So, one comment that I read in the opening, like on YouTube, it was like a deep analysis of Goblin Slayer's opening and
Interesting.
all the symbolism to it, and I was just like, "This is amazing.
Wow.
I like this."
And I loved how there's the one with all of
We'll
the
find that
4s. There's like
Mhm.
12 of them,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there's blood coming out from underneath the dice.
Yeah.
and then
It's like,
it
that's
shows
a lot of dead goblins.
it's Goblin Slayer and the Priestess standing back to back,
Mm-hmm.
and their shadows elongate in that scene
Yeah.
too, which is like the looming shadow that they are to the goblins as well, which is pretty cool. I thought it was.
Symbolism.
There's a lot of symbolism in that one, and it's more so symbolism rather than like foreshadowing or characterization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really, it was, I don't know.
It's
That
good.
one's a very distinct opening because you expect it to be like a hype opening because you're Goblin Slayer, we're gonna kill some goblins, and then it's not. It totally subverts the expectation.
Yes,
It's
it does.
a really cool song as well.
So we've talked about 3 categories so far, yeah?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Oh, aspects of good dramatic openings.
Here we go. Ones that have good foreshadowing, good symbolism, is just like you kind of have to have the show planned out and know where you're going with it.
Mm-hmm.
At least in that season, in order to do that.
The story needs to be written.
I was going to say,
completely.
it helps that most of the anime we talk about are manga first,
Yeah.
or light novels or something.
And
so-
there are some shows
Well,
where they'll write the
Yeah.
season as they're making it.
Yeah.
Things like Dragon Ball, Fairy Tail, most like shonen.
Some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have the entire show written and the manga is made, like Full Metal Brotherhood,
We know what you're saying.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yes.
Thank you. Then you can have stuff that are way at the end in episode 60 that are
Foreshadowed.
foreshadowed from
In the very first opening.
the opening. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And so you have to have it written.
Yeah.
And the opening ends up being better in the long run and more memorable.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But in like short term, hype is definitely the most effective.
Yeah.
The hype and the fun,
Mm-hmm.
depending
Hype
on
and the
what
fun.
show you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But in the long run, the other 2 categories that we're talking about are definitely better. So it depends. If you're going for a long run, if you have the story already planned out and you know what it's going to be, putting in a lot of foreshadowing is pretty good. However, with Goblin Slayer, it's still being written as the anime was being adapted, or as it was being adapted to anime.
Mm-hmm.
But it did have a lot of material to go on. But most of it was just symbolism from like the Japanese culture.
Yeah.
With
It didn't have as much foreshadowing as it did symbolism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, like, you could make a show and be writing the story as you make the anime, and still have an opening with a ton of symbolism. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good, but you could still put in a fair amount of symbolism, as is with Goblin Slayer, and I can't really think of any more that have
that much
symbolism. I mean, obviously there's other stuff, but I can think of Death Note as well that has a fair amount of symbolism.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
there's
within like the first couple seconds, there's the like Ryuk and Light with the apple, like doing the,
because he has like a god complex.
It's so good.
Absolutely, Light is.
Yeah, he thinks himself a god.
There's a lot of symbolism in that one,
and so he's got the whole like painting of God giving someone an apple, and it's the Shinigami, and he's got the part at the end where he's like reaching out, and it's like his shadow of him because there's a light behind him. You don't really see him.
Silhouette.
The silhouette of him.
Yeah. There's
good stuff.
There's some good stuff. So yeah, that's one where more symbolism is involved rather than foreshadowing.
That one's also pretty hype too.
Yeah. That's why I put it in the hype category.
Yeah.
It's hype.
It's pretty hype.
But yeah, that's one thing where I think they were still coming out with the books when the anime was being made. I think so.
Death Note?
With Death Note.
I'm not sure.
I think the books were still coming out when the anime was being made. But it was a lot like what Goblin Slayer is, where they have a lot to work with, and they haven't caught up. They hadn't caught up. Even like the manga finished before the anime caught up to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but you can still do symbolism. You can still put in whatever symbolism and whatever gimmicks and what have you, and still have it have meaning. But that doesn't necessarily mean you need foreshadowing, right? Goblin Slayer doesn't have like any foreshadowing.
I mean, sort of the Green Moon, but
sort of. But
it's like a not to do
with. And we came up with some concepts and ideas of our opening, and was it hype? It was a hype.
It was I think hype. It was more.
There was more hype. Some foreshadowing, but it was mainly a good amount of hype.
We'll talk about that on a different episode.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I got you. But the last one,
category 4,
to talk about. Yeah, these are the ones that pull your heartstrings. Make you want to cry. Which I think the first one we should talk about here is Your Lie in April. And he's the only one who's finished the show, but I have watched a fair amount of it, and I understand a fair amount of the opening.
I haven't watched any of it. You guys go.
And I'm going to tell you.
I'll just be here.
Thanks, Quinn. It's a tearjerker. Just the opening in and of itself, because you get to see all the characters once again in a happy state, which it normally isn't. Not saying that the show's sad, but just like there's a lot. It's hard. It's hard for them to be happy, and so seeing them like all be happy and stuff like that, you're just like,
and you can't help but get the feeling that like something's going to happen and ruin this happiness.
Oh man.
And then it doesn't in the opening, and you're just like, okay, we're safe. And you sit tentatively.
And you watch pensively, and
I have to watch this show now.
It's very good.
It's an interesting show. It's hard to you definitely have to know at least something about music.
It's difficult to get into.
Yeah. If you don't know about music and stuff like that, it is difficult to get into. That being said, the characters are really good.
They are.
And they're really well written.
So,
okay.
And you can see that in the opening. You can see they show you a lot about the, I guess, lore or the
story before the story.
Before the story.
Yeah.
of the show within the opening. It shows you like the relationships with all of the characters and how they kind of like interact, kind of thing, and just all very subtly, and it's really cool. And it makes you want to cry.
Yeah,
it's got a really fun song, but also you're like, dang it, I'm gonna cry because this song is too good and
yeah.
And it's fun, but it's also sad. It's a really good song.
When it comes to like tearjerkers and like dramatic shows, the one I think of usually is Angel Beats. And I know you guys haven't like watched that one.
Neither one of us have watched it.
Yeah, the opening is amazing, and one of the main characters' name is Angel. And
does she like beats?
No.
Can I punch him?
Not that kind of beats.
Darn it.
Like the headphones.
And she's playing the piano, and there's one shot where she has wings.
Okay.
Like Angel's wings. Yeah. And considering the ending, if you've watched it before, it's a tearjerker watching that little last part. And you get to see all the characters just doing their dumb thing, because they're really fun.
Hey. It's hard to talk about these ones because we're all like, oh, now I'm sad. Another one. Sorry, Carrie.
May I?
Yeah.
One that I think goes really well with this subgenre is Erased, because
I'll give you that.
Its song isn't like super fun as much as it is a little bit slower, and it still is pretty kind of fun.
Oh, the song is amazing.
It's a really good song.
The visuals that go with it, it's sort of partly in the last category that we talked about, like as far as like a lot of foreshadowing, like for what's going to happen later in the show. But a lot of it is like setting up the characters and helping you establish who they are and how they're going to be in the show, and just preparing you for pain and sadness, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I haven't watched the show, and so all I know is the opening, and I've watched that several times, and I'm already just like,
I'm hooked on this.
I'm prepared. Like, I am prepared for what is going to happen. I know the general premise of the show, so I'm like a little bit prepared.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm ready, but also I'm not.
So I'm super.
Because I'm going to cry.
Yeah, because it's. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's good stuff.
I don't cry all that often, but I'm gonna cry.
But when I do, I'm watching anime.
Yes.
But when I do, I'm watching.
I'm watching openings to anime.
I'm watching Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yes.
The last episode, man.
I would classify that opening after watching the last episode as not a tearjerker, but it's one that makes you feel a lot of emotion. You're just like, oh, okay.
I'm feeling stuff.
Now, if we wanted to talk about endings as well, the endings to that show really pull your heartstrings. But we'll save that for another day.
Okay.
We'll do one that's like a shorter episode, and we'll put two like half-length episodes.
I got
together.
some good, funny comments about endings. Okay,
we got some,
because a lot of them are kind of a lot of endings are not that great.
Yeah, but a lot of them aren't great. But then you got things like Goblins, or not Goblin Slayer. I mean, Goblin Slayer's pretty good.
It's okay.
It's not great, but like Bunny Girl Senpai, and I mean, I'm gonna say
Konosuba's first one is like boring.
Yeah.
Anyway, roll it back.
Take it back now, yo. It's time.
You must stop.
I'm cutting this out.
Dang it!
Edit this out.
Edit this out. But no, the one that I was thinking of was one that we've already talked about in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's very first opening. And the reason it is so heartfelt is because of all the foreshadowing and symbolism in there. I mean, we already talked about, in the second episode, you see Ed and Alphonse lose significant parts of them for Ed, and like also, the entirety of Alphonse.
You know, their mother.
Oh yeah, and their mother.
Like, at the beginning of that episode.
Yeah. the beginning of the show, you already know that they don't have a mother, I think.
Yeah.
Beginning of the show, it's like...
It's unclear.
I don't have a mom, I don't have a dad, I don't have an arm, I don't have a leg.
But I got a brother.
A house.
But I got this brother in a suit of armor.
Yeah,
like, okay. So
kind
confused.
of have a brother.
Child's voice in a suit of armor? Why does he sound so...
No. He has a brother in a suit of armor. That's what we know at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
That's true.
But then in the second episode, you're just like, wait, hold on. Now this opening makes me sad.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then you watch the entire show, and you're just like, and Winry and Hawkeye and the freaking Mustang.
But see, I think it's like after episode 8 or 9 is when it gets really sad.
Mm.
Yeah. And then you're just like, wait, no, hold on. Bring it back. No, stop.
You just cry.
Then they
Just
make
cry
you
like a
love
child.
people and then take them away, and you're like...
I was watching that episode with my girlfriend. We turned on that episode and it started and she was like... I was sitting there like...
Not today!
Where'd you go? And she's like, it's too soon.
It's too soon!
And she went and like made some food. And she comes back after the episode and I was like, it is too soon.
Oh, but see...
If you've watched the show, you know what we're talking about, but we don't want to spoil anything. Because we want to recommend this show to you right now.
Because that's what makes Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood like the best show ever. Because it combines all of these aspects, including the opening. Like the opening combines all 4 of those aspects of like, okay, a little less of the fun stuff, but like it's got the heartfelt, it's got the foreshadowing, it's got great fights, and the whole show is like that, and it's so good. But in the show, as opposed to in the opening, it also has the funny moments. So like, I don't know. It's just to me, when I watched it, it was like the perfect anime.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. In terms of for an international audience, I would say that Full Metal Alchemist is the best. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the best anime.
Well, it is widely considered.
It is.
The best
That,
anime.
yeah. There was a
When
ranking.
it comes to international audience.
There was a ranking in 2017, ranking all the best animes, and it was number 1.
Yeah.
In terms of international anime, and I would agree. I think there are more for specific people
when it
that are
comes to
better.
Personal stuff, there are better anime than that.
We all have personal better animes, right? As well as personal better openings.
Yeah.
That being said,
I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is probably one of the most well-written stories I've ever had the pleasure of viewing.
And to go back to the opening, it's also one of the best openings. It's probably top 5 openings in my eyes, maybe top 3. Just the first one.
Yeah.
And if we're doing a top 10, I would rank 2 different Full Metal Alchemist openings in there.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty dang good.
Are we gonna do top 10 stuff later on?
We'll do a top 10 openings, and we're gonna do a top 10 anime as well. Look out for those.
Okay.
Because we're definitely ranking our top 10 openings, because I'm excited. But that's not gonna be the next episode. That being said, there's a lot for the heartfelt ones. But they're all stuff that you have to watch the show to understand. So it's not a lot that we can talk about without dishing out spoilers. Yeah. And we don't really want to do that here because we want to let you experience it. Spoilers are no fun.
Is the best.
I spoil things for myself all the time, and it's no fun. So, all that being said, I think
I spoiled Dragon Ball Super for me.
No.
For myself, and then when I watched the big episode with the climax, apparently everyone else in the world had spoiled it for themselves, and everyone was excited for it, and so like the servers of Funimation were crashing because of how many people were trying to watch the same episode.
Really,
it was crazy.
Wow.
I had to watch it on Crunchyroll with ads because I couldn't watch it on Funimation.
Nice. Anyway, that is going to be it in terms of anime openings. I think we've talked about... Have we talked about what makes a good...
Yeah.
Heartfelt opening?
I mean...
That one's just, like, knowing the story and putting the little details in the opening. That one's another one where it's... You have to know the story. what happens either in that season or in the entirety of the story.
And you have to like intentionally look for things in the opening.
Yeah.
A lot of it is,
unlike just watching it,
is how the characters interact. I feel like
a lot of
or don't.
Yeah, how they interact or how they don't, or the little moments of like, this is what happened in the show, remember? And then you're just like, oh, now I'm sad. But most of them are just, you have to know the show. You have to know what's going to happen, or what has happened with those ones in particular. And of course, animation is always good. You having a well-animated opening is incredibly important for any of these categories.
That's true.
Like, even Cowboy Bebop, which was made in the 90s, has pretty good animation. Even though it's not nearly as important as, like, the music is,
and it's
still got really good animation.
A lot of openings, like, take clips that they've already made for, like, the first episode and the second episode, and then they put it in the opening, and then that's their opening. They did that earlier with Ruby because they weren't super good at the time, and it was a really small business. But I love it when they make original animations for the opening itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think
like, never in the show have I actually seen Sakura race a train, and I've never in the show actually seen Mai shoot me in the face.
But you're dang hoping for it.
But I love that part
At
of
least
the opening,
you are, Kyle.
And it's originally animated for the opening.
I didn't say that. Yeah. Anyway,
say what?
That's all we have to say. Unless, do you have anything?
No,
good here.
I said my thing.
Okay.
Add my spiel.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. That's all we got. If you didn't enjoy, and now you have an appreciation for openings, a like is very much appreciated.
We like likes.
We do like likes.
You guys are
we
freaking
like
worst.
likes.
We if you want to discuss more openings that we didn't specifically talk about, right, you can do that in the comments down below. And if you want to see more podcasts like this, as well as maybe catch our top 10 OPs, as well as the next episode, which will be first episodes, and what makes them so good, that will be the next episode. Just be sure to subscribe so that you can catch that when it comes out. Anyway, that is going to be it for today, and we will catch you guys next time. Just remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.